The Wither's definitely going to kill me. I don't have any gear on me. Wait, there's Gordy in the distance. He can save us. Gordy, please protect us from this Wither. Wait, Gordy is actually doing it. I'm not getting hurt at all from the Wither. And I'm even on hard difficulty. Hello there, Ray here, and a new Wither hack was discovered, but now this can be done just with a single armor stand. Shuttery messaged me about this crazy discovery he made, where the Wither Skulls aren't able to damage armor stands when hit from above. So if you hide underneath of the armor stand, the Wither Skulls will hit the top of the armor stand, blow up onto the armor stand, but won't actually destroy it or do any damage to it, and since the skull never actually hits you, you are never dealt any damage. So you can hide in the safety of the armor stand and snipe the Wither just above you. But once you hit the Wither with the arrows, it can get knocked about, which means it could shoot a skull kind of sideways and hit the side of the armor stand, which would actually kill it. So by having more armor stands around the player, it produces almost like a cloud of protection. And no matter where the skull will hit, it will always hit the top of the armor stand. From its safety, you can get the Wither down to half health. Once half health, it's a little bit trickier, since the Wither will no longer fly but come right down on the ground and shoot skulls right beside you. But as long as you keep some armor stands between you and it, you can continue to attack it from the ground and even kill it without taking any damage. And if you're really crazy, you could try to take on the Wither with just your bare fist. All you have to do is get the Wither a little bit closer to you by crouching downwards, and then it will float a bit lower down just within reach. So then if you would jump and attack at the same time, you can actually damage it. Although if you want to kill it, you would actually have to do more damage, so the Wither wouldn't keep regenerating to full health. Being the guru of Wither cages, I wanted to see if I could combine this with my dozens of past unique Wither cages to make something new. And just by having a block with a armor stand on top of it, and then a chicken on top of that, and then having a block up in the air where we're going to summon in the Wither, you will see that the Wither, once it is fully spawned in, it will explode, destroying the block, and then the Wither will fall within range of the chicken, where then it will see it and then try to attack it, but it'll always stay floating just above it, meaning that all the skulls are being directed downwards and onto the top of the armor stand, which is protecting the chicken underneath, making one of the simplest Wither cages in the game. But as you know, the simpler the Wither cage, the more maintenance it takes to keep it stable, because if the Wither gets moved to the side, it will be able to destroy the armor stand and kill the chicken, and then be free to roam the land. But we can make it a bit more stable by putting more armor stands around the mob in the middle. Here I'm using magma blocks to keep the mob from pathfinding over here, so it'll stay in the center. I also decided to harvest the explosions from the Wither Skulls. As the Wither Skulls hit these armor stands here, it can break nearby blocks that are really weak, such as the snow layers here. And since explosions will drop the items from the block it breaks, it will drop snowballs, which we can collect with a hopper minecart, making the super simple automatic snowball farm without even needing a player. But since the golem is pushing the Wither all about, we do need to make sure that we try to keep the farm in the center of a chunk. That way when you leave it and it gets unloaded, the Wither won't happen to be in this chunk over here, and this one would happen to get loaded before that one, and the Wither would just sink all the way down to the ground, because since that chunk is unloaded, it can't actually see the snow golem. That's why you always want to build your Wither cages with both the target and the Wither in the center of a chunk. We also don't want the Wither to be closer to any other mob than this one, otherwise he will snap to a different one and then start chasing after those. Hence why we have the farm up in the air, or you can even put it like in the void in the end dimension. The craziest thing is this trick actually has been in the game ever since armor stands were introduced way back in 1.8. So you can use this in every version from then to now. But it also made this setup where we can stop the Wither from moving all about. The Wither itself is trying to stand directly over top of the chicken down below. It's also trying to stand so many blocks above it, so I made this little inverted cup shape made out of obsidian, where the Wither will fly and it'll happen to fall into this little hole and get stuck inside of it. Once inside of it, it'll continue to fly upward because it wants to stay a good distance away from its target, but it's then not able to move side to side, even if it would happen to accidentally get pushed. With a more stable Wither cage, we can try to harness the actual explosions coming from the skulls to not only destroy weak things, but a bit stronger things like wood. Here I made just a very simple tree farm. So just with a sapling and bone meal, we can have trees grow and get pushed over with pistons, and then they can get pushed in front of the Wither. Notice that the Wither doesn't actually attack the player because it's focusing on the chicken. As long as you don't damage it, it won't come after you. Logs will then get pushed outwards. We don't want to actually block the Wither's view, so we don't push them directly underneath. We push them to the side where the side heads are, and then they will just hit the logs. And these black Wither Skulls can destroy any type of blocks that have a lower blast resistance than furnaces. Did you like the video yet? So you can actually use a Wither to harvest your trees without having to use TNT dupers or TNT dispensers or even things like gas. So besides just wood, other things like ores can get destroyed, concrete, skulk stuff, But when it comes to weaker things, like instant break things, it's easier to use just water or pistons, or like Enderman in like a dirt farm, rather than using a wither, which is a lot more difficult to contain. We also can't use the wither on things that need to be silk touch, like ice. I have my simple cobblestone generator right over here, and you'll see that the skulls can't actually break these blocks. But if we wanted the wither to break these, we would have to use its block breaking ability. Which brings us to a wither that we can actually damage, and it won't be able to break its way out of its cage. We're also using the armor stands here because the tops of the armor stands are invulnerable, so these skulls that are kind of going sideways but also slightly downwards trying to hit this chicken here are colliding with the tops of them, and it is causing the skulls to blow up but not damaging the armor stand. If I put the armor stand a bit higher, you can see it actually can get destroyed by the skulls. You can see this can actually be done for all three heads, as each of them do summon skulls. We're stopping the wither from going upwards just by putting a block above it. We're holding the wither upwards by using a wall, which not only has a block at this height, but also has half its collision in the next block up. So it's not even able to move up and down. So even if it would happen to lose its target over here, it's not going to slump downwards and change where it's shooting its skulls at. Subscribe to become smarter. Now in this example, I want to show that you can also use a bedrock. You can find this type of bedrock formation in a cross down at the very bottom of the world. So you don't actually have to have the entire wither encased in bedrock, that the wither can't get out as long as it's constantly being occupied by trying to kill this chicken. Now you might notice that some of the skulls that seem to somehow go around the armor stands here. This is actually from one skull coming in, hitting an armor stand, blowing up, making the other skull get pushed outwards a little bit, and it continues on the same angle it was going before, but completely misses the chicken. But this redirecting of the second wither skull is deadly with the wither above the armor stand if you only have a single one, as it can redirect it around and hit the side of the armor stand, killing it. If you ever come across something strange, be sure to message me and you could be in my next video. But in order to use the wither's block breaking ability, we need to actually damage the wither. So I got a snow golem here, which once in a while will actually hit the wither, and even though it doesn't actually do any damage to it, it will make it mad, and then the wither will break blocks in a 3x3 4 blocks tall area. So if we would push in some stone in here, then the wither would destroy it, or even if we had obsidian, anything that's inside this area will get destroyed except for some things like bedrock. And that way we don't have to depend on the wither skulls themselves, which are too weak to actually destroy these blocks. And because its block breaking ability can only be 4 blocks, with the wither being 3.5 blocks tall, even if it sits between 5 different blocks, when it actually breaks stuff, it can only break 4 of them. It'll break the bottom one rather than breaking the blocks up here, which are technically at the same height as it. So long as there's less than half a block worth of the wither up here, it won't be able to destroy any of these blocks. So like something like a sideways grindstone works, even like a sideways chain works, but we can also stop the wither skulls from getting close to our target by blocking either side heads just by putting in some stone. But we do need to keep the main head freed up so the main head can constantly see its target and try to shoot at it. Here you can see what the wither is seeing. You can see its red line. It needs to be able to see the golem's red line. It just happens to be that the armor stand is partly in the way, so every time it tries to shoot the golem, it ends up hitting the armor stand. This also means when the golem tries to shoot the wither, it will often hit the armor stand in between. Luckily the golem isn't a precise shooter and will sometimes vary, meaning that it will once in a while hit the wither. Like in the other wither cage, we have it so that the wither is contained so that we can damage it and it will break blocks, yet it won't be able to break out of its own cage. We're holding it up by using a fence down here, and we're preventing the wither from actually going forward as part of the head is clipped into the very top of this block here. So it's trying to go towards its target and it's trying to go above it. So it's going upwards. It can't go upwards because there is a lantern in here, and it's trying to go forward and it can't do that because it's clipping against this. Because of this cage is only stable if this mob stays alive, because once it dies, then the wither can fall downwards and can actually just walk right out of the cage. But if a wither can directly see its target with its main head, that means very rarely it will shoot out a blue wither skull. These blue wither skulls then can hit upon different surfaces, such as our armor stand. It won't actually destroy the armor stand, but anything nearby that normally couldn't be broken by the black skulls can be broken by the blue skulls. This even includes cobblestone and obsidian. This is something important to remember when designing wither cages. Now you could use these blue skulls to break blocks like obsidian and stone, but they just occur so very rarely, it's not as useful. So I combined these to make a more useful farm. What we got is a lot more armor stands in here to protect the targets, so the skulls don't happen to go in between the armor stands. We also prevent the golem from getting moved about by permanently putting in walls so it can't accidentally misstep onto the magma and kill itself. We're also holding the wither in place by having part of its head stuck up here where it's in this little notched area between the obsidian and the lantern. By having it vertical like this, the golem is a lot more consistent at hitting the wither because it doesn't have to worry about actually hitting the armor stands since it's directly inside of it, and its snowball can't actually hit stuff that is really close to it. So we could damage the wither every time, and because it's constantly being damaged, it's mad and it will destroy blocks around it. So you could have like your lava being converted into obsidian, getting automatically destroyed, or you could be pushing in other blocks from the side and it would just drop them as item form. And since the main thing for the wither cage is just the armor stand, you can actually put this onto a flying machine. Although I've designed wither cage flying machines using my invulnerable ender crystal trick, armor stands are a lot easier to get. But instead of using armor stand wither cages, I would recommend using my dozens of other wither cages, which are better for long-term use. Every wither cage has its pros and cons, and every wither cage can be stable if used properly. So check out this playlist about tons of crazy ways which I was able to trap withers. Let me know what crazy stuff I should try using this or what questions you have down in the comments. And would you like to see me do a tutorial how you can actually set these wither cages up in survival? And go ahead and share these designs with your favorite Minecrafters, just remember to credit Raised Works. Subscribe to see what crazy stuff I do next, and I'll see you next one. Bye bye!